Hello, welcome. We're into week two. Hopefully, you've been doing some good readings. I appreciate your comments, your self introductions, and your comments on the Gorski essay from last week. As a reminder, please, especially in your first posts of the week, include page references and direct sort of engagement with the readings that we're doing. Give me a little parentheses after a quote or a specific reference to the texts that gives me the page numbers. And if there isn't a page number, be sure you give me that parentheses with at least the title of the piece if it doesn't have page numbers, like the Oscar Romero video for this week, for instance. Other than that, what Gorski did for us, and we're going to encounter this concept again, this concept of enculturation, is he set the stage, or I use this essay because it sets the stage for a new set of questions that arises, and the question of enculturation, how does culture in different cultures from which Christianity does not originate, how does that relate to the Christianity when it comes in from the outside, right? Is there a direct clash? Is there a syncretism in which they become the same thing? Is there this enculturation? Is there accommodation, right? Gorski lines out all those different alternatives that historically have unfolded in the past, right? And so what we'll see in the next several weeks, right, beginning in Latin America this week, is the engagement or the encounter of primarily European Christianity in the end of the 1400s, right, with other peoples around the globe. And I think I mentioned this last week. There are a whole new set of questions that come to the forefront of these European Christians' minds when they begin encountering other people that are so radically different in so many respects, at least as they perceive them from their own life, civilization, worldviews, right? They thought in the Middle Ages that they had the questions down. Everyone in the known world was Christian. All of a sudden they're encountering all these people that aren't, right? And so it's at this particular one, this is one of the particular moments that we pick up with Bartolome de las Casas, right? In which the encounter doesn't go well. So if you picture these Spanish and Portuguese ships arriving in the New World, right? New World in air quotes, because it wasn't new to the many millions of people who lived there, right? They arrive. Some of the first people off the boat are the priests. What are they bringing? They're bringing Christianity. They're bringing blessings to this new place. They're bringing thanksgiving for a safe passage right across this ocean. They're grateful for the sense of being alive and experiencing and getting sort of that excitement of being in this new place. But they also bring in their encounter with the peoples that they meet an opportunity to or what they see as the most important thing, give these people a chance to become Christian. But right on the heels of these priests who were coming off the boat, and not all of them had the greatest of intentions, some of them certainly did, many of them are just naive, are the conquistadores, the military men, here for wealth, for acclaim, for military prowess, for so many non-sort of Christian reasons. Some of them are there for Christian reasons because they don't see a distinction between their military exploits and their Christianity. And right behind these conquistadores are the merchants, right? Ready to set up shop, ready to take the plunder from what the conquistadores find or capture, I should say. They don't find much of it, right? They demand it. And commerce comes on the heels, right? So we have religion, we have Christianity, we have military exploit, and we have commerce. These three things right? That are intricately tied. And so I give you the first 60 pages or so of Bartolome de las Casas. This is a priest who came over like so many of the others, and he actually brought his own African slaves. And he set up a plantation. And as he's working this plantation, he assumes indigenous American slaves, men and women who had been captured, and all of a sudden they're working his plantation as well. And he begins to learn a bit of their languages, and he talks to them, and he realizes that this is a very sophisticated people, or peoples. And this changes him. He like wakes up to the fact that, and this is before human rights is a thing, right? That these people are indeed fully people. They're not the backward savage, right, that the conquistadores are claiming. They're not in any way subhuman. And De las Casas implores, first he emancipates his own slaves, Native American ones, emancipates them. And then he implores the conquistadores and the other rulers in these areas, right, to do the same thing, and they refuse. And he goes back to Spain and he petitions the prince and the king and queen of Spain, Ferdinand and Isabella, it's still them. And he ends up traveling back and forth between Europe and the Americas several times, in which he's documenting all these atrocities that we read this short excerpt in this book. And the atrocities get worse and worse and worse as these conquistadores figure out more and more sinister ways to kill and dismember and torture these people. Sickening. And then he comes to another realization somewhere along the way that his African slaves are people too. And he emancipates them, and this pisses off a lot of people. Right? And then he ends up getting kicked out. He gets banished from the New World. And he spends the rest of his life in Spain, and they actually pass a series of legislation condemning the atrocity and the treatment of these people in the ways that they've been treated. But as is often the case with the divide between politics and pragmatics, right? The New World is very, very, very far away. We don't have Twitter and Instagram and like CNN or the 24-hour news cycle, right, to report this kind of crap back to the other side of the ocean, right? It's really hard to police and enact the laws that become the foundation for what is now human rights that we get from Bartolome de las Casas, right? A Christian who has got his hands dirty in the filth of the plunder. And he himself experiences this conversion, not a Christian conversion, except that his eyes are open to a new type, a new vision of Christianity. And that same vision of Christianity in Latin America, right, is the same vision that fuels Oscar Romero.
3 o'clock.
I give you that short little video clip, right? That Christianity is not Christianity for the powerful, but it's Christianity, the heart of it is Christianity for the poor and the oppressed. And there's a message of liberation and freedom, right? And that's not just of one soul to heaven, sort of transcendentally or metaphysically or spiritually, right? But this is a real freedom, in the same way that De las Casas tries to emancipate his own slaves. This is the message, and this is the point at which we encounter Christianity in Latin America. Now, we're going to get more of the more contemporary stuff next week. In the meantime, as you post, please keep in mind I have opened or I have an assignment for you all to do or write a 3 to 4 page social location paper, which I've got a prompt up. Look at Canvas. You'll find the prompt. You'll find an example of what social location is, right? This essay by Peggy McIntosh, Unpacking Our Invisible Backpack, right? A social location paper is not a biography or autobiography about who you are, but it's an unpacking of how the elements of who you are give you certain advantages or disadvantages in our own society. And these are oftentimes hidden. And so those of us like myself with more power and privilege that society grants, and I haven't even earned it, right? By nature of being a white male who typically gets paid the dollar when white women get paid the 77 cents, when black women get paid the 65 cents, and when Latinas get paid into the 50s for the same work, right? My social location is unpacking this privilege, unpacking, okay, what is it about who I am? And it's not a matter to feel guilty about, but to learn to recognize, to learn to unpack, to learn to navigate, because it's so often our social locations that play into how we understand Christianity. And as we, in this online class, encounter new peoples in 3 different continents, right? How is it that our place, right, in the relative center of the industrial north, right? We are a part of the largest empire. The sun does not set on the United States as empire. We have so many military bases around the world. We benefit from this, right? And this isn't a woe is me kind of essay, but it is a learning to identify and to see to our eyes and try to figure out some of the assumptions that lie behind any dogma, any doctrine, any cosmology, any view about what Christianity ought to be, so that we can engage, hopefully, our others, right? The others we read in this class from other continents, and the others that we will encounter on a daily basis in our normal lives. If you have questions about the paper, please don't hesitate to send me an email. I'll be in all week. Next week, I drive to San Diego, but I should have plenty of Wi-Fi service while I'm in San Diego, and hopefully be able to record a lecture from the beach or something and make you all jealous, unless you're sitting on a beach right now. I don't know. Maybe you're sitting in a class at Regis and you're just like gnashing your teeth. Anyway, happy discussing. I look forward to the conversation this week.